Hello, folks. This video here is to give you an introduction and overview of our Unit 1 Biological Basis of Behavior here for AP Psychology. We're not going to go into detail on content in this video, just making sure everybody understands what's coming up in case we have more remote days or if you're out for any purpose. First of all, I am going to finish up some practice with psych experiments grading. I just want to make sure I give you good detailed feedback on that. I've had a lot of good responses there. And again, there is a video already with the other assignment on choosing the approaches for helping people. Again, we are done with Unit 0. Again, with Unit 0 just being the first week of the semester and just being new for everybody, there's no late penalties for those assignments. However, now that we're starting the official content with Unit 1, work that is not submitted on time or work that is not submitted by the due date will receive a 0. If it's submitted within 1 week of the due date, you'll receive 80% credit. And if it's more than a week late, the best you can do is 60% credit. That will not apply to tests. Test, you will get the grade you earn regardless when you take it. But if we do have everybody here on test day taking the test, then everybody gets a 5-point boost on their test grade. So again, we only have the 1 unit for this 6 weeks. The 6 weeks assignments are due no later than the 14th of February, but our test will be on January 31st. So again, clicking on a module, again, a reminder of that. We have an overview presentation from Mr. Galusha up in Massachusetts. We use a lot of his stuff and other people too. There's also a set of flashcards. We'll talk about that in just a second. Starting off, again, the first day, we have interaction of heredity and environment, and there is 64 slides there. The good news is we can really trim that down a good bit, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Again, we'll get into the nervous system. Hopefully we'll all be back by then. We also will have a homework assignment Tuesday night on 1.3 neurons there. So after the second day of the unit, going into the third day, that is your assignment there for the crash course video. I think it's about 5 or 6 crash course videos in this 3-week unit. Moving down to on day 4, the 4th day of the unit, we have another homework assignment getting started on the brain the next day. That's a big one there. The brain will take up 3 days of this unit there. Again, no school on after day 5. We don't have any school there for Martin Luther King Day. Coming back on Tuesday, we'll continue with the brain for 2 more days. And again, there on the 7th day of this unit, we'll have our third homework assignment there. This one is not shared with you yet. I haven't finished making it, but it'll definitely be done by day 7. Moving on, we have, again, going into sleep and dreams, states of consciousness. And then we'll have another crash course video. This one's on a Friday, due on a Monday. This, along with all the crash course videos, can be completed anytime before the due date. So if you don't want to do work over the weekend, feel free to complete this on your own time ahead of time. And again, that goes for all the crash course videos. Coming back, starting off, I believe it's the 3rd week of the unit, we will be dealing with sensation. This is an awkward one because it used to be that sensation and perception together were their own unit within the old course and exam description for psychology. It's the same exact content. They just split sensation and perception up. And it's not a terrible split, but those two things tend to go hand in hand. So we'll probably learn a little bit about perception as we go over sensation these 3 days. But we will then probably review some sensation when we talk about perception in February, which will start off Unit 2. We've got some diagrams both for the eye and the ear that you'll want to know as far as how light travels to the eye and is transduced by our bipolar cells in the retina, or how sound waves transmit through the ear and are transduced by the cilia cells within the cochlear area of our eardrum. Again, that'll all make sense to you in about 2.5 weeks. And then again, we'll have some review, and we will have a test on Friday the 31st. The Get Psyched information is still linked down there. Again, if you complete that whole packet on paper for the Unit 1, you get 5 points extra credit on that. But you also have the Unit 0 Get Psyched information, which is also worth 5 points. So again, if everybody's here on test day and you individually complete both of your Get Psyched packets, you'll get 15 points extra credit on this first test, which is pretty nice. All right, so first off, the overview. Clicking on that, you have it right here. Again, I'll let you read through this on your own, but a few essential questions here. Why do we learn biology in a psychology course? Why is a social studies teacher talking to you about biology? And the reality is you're going to hear this a million times in this course, everything psychological is biological. The reason why we are the way we are, why we think the way we think, why we are motivated by the things that motivate us, it all has to do with the biology and the chemical makeup of our brains. There's a lot of science here, especially in this first unit, biological basis of psychology. Second existential question, and we got to master this 3 weeks. How does knowledge of the connection between biological systems and mental processes help us live healthier lives? Again, we'll talk about neurotransmitters and hormones. And if those things are balanced and running smooth, we feel great. But as you'll see, if you have too much of a particular neurotransmitter or not enough, that's going to it's going to have you feeling off. And there are ways we can cope with that. There are ways people try to cope with that on their own, recreationally. But again, in order to live healthier, happier lives, the better understanding we have, the better we are. That's annoying. Come back. There we go. All right, just stop. I'm going to leave that alone for a second. How much of who you are is determined by what's in your brain? Well, a lot. And again, I believe they're asking that as sort of a nature versus nurture kind of question. Nature being the genetics that you've inherited from your two biological parents versus the nurture, which is the environment that you are raised and living in. So again, we'll talk about heritability and environmentability. Those are a couple topics we'll have for really the first day in this unit. And then we kick it off with that. Unit 1.1, there's a total of 6 sections in this unit. This one here is interaction of heredity environment. We're planning to spend 1 day on this. Again, the key here is to explain the relationship between heredity and environment and shaping behavior and mental processes. And here's some more detailed information we'll see on that. Then we'll go into overview of the nervous system. And again, spend 1 day there where we're hoping to differentiate among the subsystems of the human nervous system and their functions. So again, we'll break things down into 2 broad categories, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And then those will break down into further categories from there, especially the peripheral. We'll then spend 2 days on learning about neurons and how they work and neural firing, which is not to be fired. It's more of like a bottle rocket firing off, like sending that message. That's what we're talking about there. And again, that's where we're getting to ideas with neurotransmitters as well as some discussion of hormones. That's more of a biology topic than a psychology, but we will definitely deal with hormones some as well. And we will also deal with psychoactive drugs, although I believe I have that paced out more to be in the brain section, the 3 days we have in the brain, but we'll definitely discuss various types of psychoactive drugs and their effect on the body. Again, 3 days in the brain for section 1.4. We got a couple big topics there. We're going to explain how the structures and function of the brain apply to behavior and mental processes. So again, the brain is not just one thing. It's a collection of different, there's 2 hemispheres and a variety of lobes and cortexes and areas within the brain that all deal with different things. Even those 2 hemispheres, there's a lot of similarity between the 2, but we'll also learn that for specific reasons, some people's brains need to be split down the middle, typically as a seizure disorder remedy. And that's going to really change the way that they're able to interact with the world in some interesting ways. We'll get to that again as we go. Again, into unit second week here, we talk about sleep, which obviously will be a big part of the project that we are working on. We'll spend 2 days there, primarily on a day on sleep or so, and then a day on dreams. But again, the key here is to explain how the sleep and wake cycle affects behavior and mental processes throughout the day and night. Obviously, not having enough sleep is not going to be good for you. But again, in fact, too much sleep can be bad too. The not enough sleep tends to be a more common problem for most folks. Sensation. Explain how the process of sensation is related to behavior and mental processes. Again, sensation is the act of sensing things, and our body has all kinds of sensory neurons that take in input from the outside world and then transmit those to inner neurons and through to our brain. And sometimes our brain understands those sensations exactly as they are. Sometimes it doesn't. Actually, pretty frequently it perceives them in a different way. We've got a couple of things here we can explain. 1.6b says explain how the structures and functions of the visual sensory system relate to behavior and mental process. So we're going to break down what makes up the eye. Then down here, 1.6bb, explain how the structures and functions of the auditory system relate to behavior and mental processes. I've added these letters in. Basically, they're going to be on the same day, but we're going to talk about visual and as well as the auditory or the ear systems. We'll break those down. We'll do a little bit less detail on the chemical senses, which is taste or gustation and smell or olfaction, but we'll talk about those structures a little bit as well. And the touch system, we'll discuss that, as well as pain. We'll discuss that as well and explain how maintain balance, your vestibular sense, as well as your body movement, your kinesthetic sense. So again, if you close your eyes and you know that your right hand is above your head or below your head, that's your kinesthetic. As your ability to obviously balance is your vestibular. And we have terms list here. I went ahead and numbered all the terms. As you can see, there's a lot. The ones that are underlined, I've been going through and double checking off the flashcards for the unit. I haven't finished that yet, but everything that's underlined, I've already double checked, and it's definitely in the flashcards. And again, I just haven't finished that process. That's why you're noticing it kind of drops off here. But we will double check that. We'll make sure we got everything. Again, still got about 3 weeks till a test, but this is the key, making sure we got these ideas understood based on these terms. So that's about it for our introduction there. Again, I mentioned we have a few assignments, mostly crash course videos. We may add an assignment or two. We have a few activities in the class we're planning on doing, but that's about it. So that's Unit 1. I've got another video coming out shortly that will discuss more detail on this Unit 1.1, Heredity and Environment. Have a great day.